Sample question 2. A customer says she is unable to browse the internet. You believe the cause of the issue is related to DNS. Which of the following should you do next? A. Implement preventive measures by assigning a preferred and secondary DNS server to the computer. B. Identify the problem by running the ipconfig/flush DNS command. C. Test the theory by attempting to browse to a website by its IP address. Or D. Document your findings in your organization's knowledge base. Pause the video now so you can review the question and decide on your answer. And we'll be back in a moment with the correct answer. And the best answer here is C. Test the theory by attempting to browse to a website by its IP address. After you have come up with a potential theory, in this case, the DNS issue, or at least the potential for a DNS issue, you should test that theory. In this case, browse a website by way of IP address instead of by name. That eliminates any name resolution or DNS name to IP issues that might occur. Let's show some of the things we could do to test that theory. First, we could go to a browser window and try connecting to a website by IP address. So for example, we could connect to Cloudflare's 1.1.1.1. And if I press enter, that'll try to connect within the browser by IP address instead of by name. And if you see something from Cloudflare here, we know that website is actually working. Better ways to do this would be in the command line. And so, for example, we could run ping commands, like a ping on 1.1.1.1, press enter, and see if we actually get responses. If we're getting responses from the IP address, then we know that network connectivity is functional and we have a connection to the internet, but it is likely that there is a DNS issue. You could also do a ping on 8.8.8.8. That's Google's DNS. So a couple different options there. Another option would be to use the dig command, and we could run a dig-x on 8.8.8.8, and that will dig for reverse resolution from IP to name. I'm doing this on a Linux system, but you can also install the dig command as part of the bind tools on Windows. And we'll press enter here. And when we do so, this was the command, and it says no error. So that means the command went through properly. And it says here that 8.8.8.8 is actually dns.google. So we're getting reverse lookup from IP to name, but from name to IP, it's not working. So most likely it's some type of DNS issue, but we've got to test that first before we start making any changes to the system. Now, this question is based on the CompTIA A+ 6-step troubleshooting methodology, and here it is. Let's review these steps briefly. Step 1 is identify the problem. Gather information from the user, identify any changes, inquire as to environmental or infrastructure changes. Step 2, establish a theory of probable cause. And that is what we did in the question. We said, we believe the cause of the issue is related to DNS, probable cause. And if necessary, during this stage, you want to conduct external or internal research based on the symptoms. Step 3, test your theory to determine the cause. And our test is to browse the website by way of IP address instead of name, or using the ping or dig commands. Once your theory is confirmed, like we just did in the command line and in the browser, you determine the next steps to resolve the problem. If the theory is not confirmed, for example, if we did not get replies from our ping, we'd have to reestablish a new theory or escalate the problem to someone else. Then we would move on with the troubleshooting process. Step 4, establish a plan of action to resolve the problem and implement the solution. And refer to vendor's instructions for guidance. Step 5, verify full system functionality and, if applicable, implement preventive measures. And then finally, step 6, document the findings, actions, and outcomes. So you want to make sure that you're documenting the whole time, but it's important to complete that documentation at the end of your troubleshooting process. Know this A+ troubleshooting methodology. Back to our question here, it's also important to know which answers are incorrect. So if we look at these, A is incorrect. That says implement preventive measures by assigning a preferred and secondary DNS server to the computer. Well, that may be the actual solution to this problem, but that's not what the question is asking you to do. It's asking which of the following should you do next, right? So this may actually be the solution, but that's part of step 5, and we're not at that point yet. You really shouldn't be fixing the problem yet. You're testing at this point. Answer B is incorrect. It says identify the problem by running the ipconfig/flush DNS. That's a command you might try as part of step 4, resolving the problem, and it would flush out the DNS cache, but it's not for identifying the problem in this case. However, that command might not fix the issue for us at all. It will simply remove any DNS entries from the DNS cache. And we're fairly sure that we know that this is a DNS issue. You wouldn't identify an issue with this command. You might identify it with something like ipconfig/all. And finally, document your findings. Well, that's last on the list. That's the 6th and last step. We have not solved the problem yet. We haven't even got past our tests. So this is definitely premature. So again, make sure that you know why the correct answer is correct and know why the incorrect answers are incorrect. And look for keywords. Keywords here, which I'll underline in purple. You believe the cause of the issue is related to DNS. Which of the following should you do next? And so on. Look for those keywords in the actual questions.